Moving on to question number 19. இப்போ question number 19ல என்ன கொடுத்திருக்கு? Show that the function defined by g of x is equal to x minus gif, greatest integer function. You remember, this is your greatest integer function. அப்படின்னா என்ன அர்த்தம்? If for example, your value of x, I'll change to a different color. So if your value of x is 1, okay? This is not visible. So if your value of x, okay, is equal to 1, okay, if your value of x is equal to 1, what will be your value? 1 க்கு மேல இருந்ததுனா, you see that the dotted line is included over here. This is a hollow circle. Correct? Hollow circle na enna artham? The value is not included. The dotted means that the value is included. So when the value of x is equal to 1, what is my value of gif of x? It is also going to be equal to 1. You see that the value here is going to be 1. So the value here is going to be 1. Correct? Now, when the value of x is slightly less than 1, இப்போ 0.9 அப்படின்னு இருக்குன்னா என்ன அர்த்தம்? The value, if it is slightly less than 1, it is going to take the value of, you see here, in the value. So it is going to be 0. So my gif of x is going to be 0. If my value is slightly greater than 1, it is going to take the value of 1. You see? So basically, இது என்ன? The left hand limit and the right hand limit. So this is like my left hand limit and this is like my right hand limit. So when the value of x is a 1, the value that is slightly to the right of 1, it will take the value of 1 itself. So here you see, left hand limit la c minus irundhudu, right hand limit la c plus irundhuduna, the value is going to be c itself. If when you consider the case of 0.9, you see that the value is 0, அதாவது இருக்கிற வேல்யூவை விட கம்மி ஆயிடுது. கரெக்ட்டா? It is 1 minus 1. So I'll have c minus 1. Okay, you can take any other example also. If you take the value of x is equal to 2, what are the values before and after 2? Very, very close. It is going to be 2.1 and 1.9. இப்போ 2.1 na, the value is going to be a 2. If it is going to be 1.9, the value is going to be a 1. So here basically the math is, it is equal to c in the particular case, and here it is going to be c minus 1. In the இடத்துல c minus 1, so this is going to be 1. Okay, so this is your greatest integer function. This, how do you write in general? This is all written in numbers. General ah எழுதணும்னா எப்படி எழுதணும்? You'll write it as your greatest integer function is going to be simply x minus 1 when it is a left hand limit, and it is simply going to be x when it is a right hand limit. Okay, so இந்த மாதிரி தான் எழுதணும். Now, I need to solve for different cases, correct? Basically, I am having a left hand limit and the right hand limit. If different cases ku solve pannuna, what is my g of x now? G of x is going to be x minus gif of x. Sorry. X minus the gif of x. Correct? So, இப்போ இந்த கேஸ்ல இதை எப்படி solve பண்ண போறேன்? I am going to take two different conditions. So, first, left hand limit. So, what is it going to be? Limit x tends to some c minus, what is my function going to be? X minus the gif of x. So in the இடத்துல x is going to take the value, when it is less than, it is going to take the value x minus 1. Correct? I'll mark with two different colors, purple and pink. Okay, now the value marked in purple is my left hand limit. Correct? How will my limit change? My limit is going to look like this. Limit x tends to c minus of x minus x minus 1. Okay, minus ku எப்பவுமே bracket போடுங்க. So what is my next step? It is going to be limit குள்ள தான் இருக்கு, இன்னும் limitல இருந்து வெளியில எடுக்கல. So what will I have? I'll have limit x tends to c minus of x minus x plus 1. I'm multiplying the minus inside. So இந்த இடத்துல minus x, இந்த இடத்துல minus of minus is going to be plus. So minus x and the minus x is going to get cancelled. Minus x and the minus x is going to get cancelled. So I'll have 1 left inside the limit. When I take 1 outside the limit, it is simply going to be 1. This is left hand limit. இப்போ right hand limit என்ன ஆக போகுது? Right hand limit is going to be limit x tends to c plus of x minus. This is my function. What happens when I apply the gif for right hand limit? C plus na right hand limit என்ன பார்த்தோம்? It is going to be the number itself, marked in pink. Correct? So this is going to be x minus x, which is going to be simply 0. So, இப்போ இங்க என்ன தெரியுது? Left hand limit is not equal to the right hand limit. So, the given function is not continuous. Okay? As simple as that. Please copy. Okay. Question number 20. Is the function defined by f of x is equal to, I'll write the question for you, f of x equals x square. Okay, can you see the question now? F of x equals x square minus sin x plus phi, defined at x is equal to pi. The pi is missing in the question. Please include x is equal to pi. Idhula vandu defined aan kekranga. Okay, so what is my f of c first? So x is equal to pi na, the c value is also going to be pi. What is my f of c? C square minus sin c plus phi. So ipo pi substitute panna enna agum? What happens when I substitute the value of pi? I'll have pi square minus sin pi plus phi. What is my sin pi? Sin pi oda value enna? Ipo nama indha edathila quadrant paathomna sin 0 is 0, sin 90 is 1 and sin pi is again 0. So I'll have sin pi to be 0. So I have pi square minus 0 plus 5, which is pi square plus 5. So this is my f of c. F of c kandupidichachu. Okay, so let me mark this. So this is my f of c. What happens when I do my limit? Limit x tends to c of f of x is going to be limit x tends to pi of f of x. So what is my f of x now? X square minus sin x plus 5. But you have to remember from the example questions that I taught you that whenever you have trigonometric functions, sin, cos, tan, idala irundhuduna, you should not substitute the value of x directly to the f of x. In the mari limit substitute panna koodadu. So what is your alternative? What else do you have to do? You have to change your variable x to be pi plus h. In the mari change pannikano. In the mari change panna, what will be my h? H is going to be x minus pi. I'm going to change the limit also. எனக்கு limit எப்போமே I want my limit to be h tends to 0. Some variable tending to 0. Not x tending to pi. இப்போ இந்த இடத்துல இருக்கு இல்லையா x tending to pi இருக்கா? I don't want this particular thing. I want something like h tending to 0. அதனால நான் என்ன எடுக்க போறேன்? I'm going to take x is equal to pi plus h. I'm going to take the value that is given in the question and I'm going to add h to this. So what happens when x tends to pi? What happens to h? H will tend to x minus pi. What is my value of x? So this is going to be pi minus pi, which is 0. So when x tends to pi, what is my value of h going to tend to? H is going to tend to 0. இப்போ என்னோட limit எப்படி change ஆக போகுது? My limit x tends to pi now is going to change in terms of h. அப்ப h in change ஆச்சுனா என்ன ஆகும்? H tends to 0. Of how does my question change now? This will change into x is going to be pi plus h the whole square minus sin of pi plus h plus phi. The entire thing is inside the limit. Okay, இப்போ limit குள்ள இருக்கு. This is my h. Okay, now I'm going to open the brackets and then substitute the value of h tending to 0. எதனால நம்ம இந்த மாதிரி பண்றோம்? You have learned that limit h tends to 0 of sin h divided by h is going to be 1. இல்லாட்டி டைரக்டா சப்ஸ்டிட்யூட் பண்ணா என்ன ஆகும்? 0 by 0 not defined வரும். பட் அந்த மாதிரி நமக்கு வேண்டாம். அதனால whenever you have trigonometric functions, you have to use the identity that you learned in your 11th standard. Limit h tends to 0 of sin h divided by h is going to be 1. You are always going to use this particular identity. Okay, so இப்போ இதை வந்து நம்ம யூஸ் பண்ணி இந்த questions சால்வ் பண்ண போறோம். I'll move this aside for a while. Okay, now moving on to the question, I'm going to open the bracket. இப்போ இந்த இடத்துல limit h tends to 0, limit h tends to 0 of a plus b the whole square. This is a plus b the whole square. So I have pi square plus h square plus 2 pi h. Then I have minus sin of pi h. இப்போ minus sin of pi h எப்படி எழுதலாம்? Minus is there. I'm going to open a bracket. I have sin of a plus b. What is the formula for sin of a plus b? Sin of a plus b is going to be sin a cos b plus cos a sin b. Correct? So this is going to be the formula that I'm going to use. So when I use it here, இந்த இடத்துல sin of pi plus h இருக்கு. So I have sin a cos b plus cos a sin b. So this is my sin of pi plus h. இது தவிர plus 5 இருக்கு. I have not applied the limit yet. So I have plus 5. So when I apply the limits slowly, h is equal to 0 னு apply பண்ணா என்ன ஆகும்? I'll have pi square plus 0 square plus 2 pi times 0 minus, I'm still opening the bracket. ஏன்னா இந்த இடத்துல நிறைய terms இருக்கு. Sin pi cos 0 plus cos pi sin 0, and you see that 5 is a term which is independent of the limit. So I can directly write it as 5. So what do I have now? Pi square plus இது எல்லாமே 0 ஆயிடும் minus I have sin pi cos 0. So this is going to be sin pi oda value enna 0 times cos 0 is going to be 1 plus cos pi oda value enna cos pi is minus 1. Cos of 180 is going to be minus 1 and sin 0 is going to be again 0 and I have plus 5. So in the bracket kulla irukra term fullave 0 aidudhu. So I have pi square minus 0 plus 5. I have pi square plus 5. So what do you see? What is my ultimate goal? Limit x tends to c of f of x should be equal to f of c. Is it so? In my case, limit x tends to pi of f of x is f of pi. Correct? Value match acha? Where is my highlighter? So it is going to be pi square plus 5 in that. So I have pi square plus 5 marked in purple and I also got pi square plus 5 here. I have marked this again in purple. So render value equal. So it is continuous. Okay. Continuous at x equal to pi. Okay. Very, very simple. Please copy.